Santiago Meza, alias El Pozolero, dissolved around 300 bodies in acid while working for the cartels of Los Arellano Felix and the Cartel de Sinaloa. While working for Mexican drug lord Teodoro Garcia Cemental, or El Tio, Meza admitted to dissolving 300 bodies. However, some think the real number is higher than 1,000. After being apprehended in 2009, El Pozolero was sentenced to 10 years in prison in 2012 for his role in the drug trade and the secret burials of his victims. In contrast, Meza is only nearing the end of serving that sentence in 2022 and is expected to be released this year. Hello, and thank you for tuning into our broadcast. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and the bell symbol so you will never miss an update before watching the video. El Pozolero, or Santiago Meza Lopez, was a member of a drug gang operating out of Tijuana, Mexico. The Arellano Felix organization, or the Tijuana Cartel, was another name for the gang. Drug trafficking lanes along the U.S.-Mexico border were controlled by the Tijuana Cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful and dangerous criminal organizations. The Arellano Felix brothers, who were notoriously violent in their efforts to keep control of their areas, created the cartel. The Tijuana Cartel was notorious for corrupting and bribing its way into government offices and law enforcement. El Pozolero began his job with the Arellano Felix cartel in 1996, tending to horses and doing masonry work. Meza was shown by cartel leaders Efren Perez and Jorge Arellano Felix El Macumba how to dismantle a leg of beef in about 2 hours using a drum filled with water and other things. 6 months later, they had trained other dudes to use the acid-filled drum to dissolve human flesh. The bodies were dissolved overnight by placing them naked in a drum filled with water and caustic soda and heating them over a gas burner. Teeth, nails, and bone fragments were among the things Meza burnt and buried after that. In January 2009, police found and arrested him for his part in an acid attack that dissolved the bodies of 300 people. Meza Lopez was recruited by the cartel to dispose of the dead, according to the authorities, so that they could cover up their criminal activities. Authorities had difficulty identifying victims or determining their cause of death because of the massive amounts of acid he allegedly used to disintegrate their bodies. Meza Lopez has admitted to dissolving as many as 50 bodies per month over several years. He said he was paid $600 for each body and was coerced into participating in the practice. He also explained that he neutralized the acid with lime and water before dumping the remnants into the Pacific. Meza Lopez was convicted of murder and desecration of a corpse in 2010 after entering a guilty plea to both charges. The event received widespread media coverage and was cited as an extreme illustration of the drug gang's callous disregard for human life in Mexico. This case also sheds light on the challenges law enforcement in Mexico has when investigating and prosecuting crimes linked to drug cartels, where violence and intimidation are commonplace. The Arellano Felix organization, or the Tijuana Gang, was a powerful Mexican drug cartel that operated mostly out of Tijuana and managed drug trafficking across the border between the United States and Mexico. Francisco Rafael Arellano Felix, Benjamin Arellano Felix, Carlos Arellano Felix, and Eduardo Arellano Felix were the founding fathers of the cartel in the late 1970s. The cartel was notorious for infiltrating government and law enforcement agencies throughout Mexico using bribery and violence. The Tijuana cartel had ties to Colombian drug traffickers. It was significantly involved in distributing cocaine, marijuana, and methamphetamine. They were notoriously vicious and cruel, with a history of resorting to torture and assassination to consolidate power in their territories and wipe out any potential threats. The cartel was notorious for using high-tech methods to influence authorities, such as money laundering and bribery. The arrest and extradition of Tijuana cartel officials and the subsequent fragmentation of the organization began to erode the cartel's authority and influence in the early 2000s. But the cartel is still going strong and is actively involved in drug trafficking and other illegal operations. Members have been arrested, and others have left to join other criminal groups. Law enforcement in Mexico and the United States is deeply troubled by the Tijuana cartel's history of bloodshed and graft.